Urgent, top secret. Agent Kurt Weiss, currently stationed in Toronto. Assessment: impending aggressive moves by USAS expected. Canadian border forces on high alert. USAS claims strategic necessity to liberate our northern comrade workers. Outlook of USAS is aggressive but isolationist. Strongly recommend infiltration of USAS and creation of intelligence assets. Increased vigilance of Canadian counterintelligence risks compromising Toronto intelligence gathering operations. Requesting urgent wiring of funds to procure new identity documents and ocean liner tickets to leave for Europe. The concerns of Agent Weiss were not unfounded. The Union of Socialist American States has declared war on the Dominion of Canada. That means probably the end of Canada, to be honest. And we will immediately retrieve Kurt Weiss to Europe for now, and just sending him in for counterintelligence at home. But we are probably going to start sending some assets over to the United States. Well, once he gets back, then we'll transfer him to, given that he already knows the region, we'll transfer him to give him a new identity and let him infiltrate the Union of Socialist American States. That's the one. So yeah, the USAS is going aggressive against Canada, which at this point actually plays into our hands, because that means we don't necessarily need to deal with Canada ourselves, while we are still sinking their naval assets wherever we can find them. But all in all, I think mostly that is going to be a significant problem for the Entente on the ground. Now, I don't know how many, what do we know about, we probably have a better idea about Canada than we have about the USAS. We know a lot about the Canadian Navy. They still have 3 battle cruisers and 6 battleships and 1 carrier somewhere. But we don't know an awful lot about the infantry on the ground. The USAS definitely will have the upper hand here, so I'm assuming that Canada is going to fall, and with that the USAS is going to take over there. However, for now this doesn't concern us. We have a war to fight, and we have a group of troops in Africa that is basically just marching through at this stage. However, we are now seeing an increased number of enemy troops along the lines here. So I think managing this a little more carefully is a good idea. So let's take a look at the Africa situation. There is a supply hub that we're currently holding in Monrovia, but all these supply lines are significantly overloaded given the sheer amount of troops that's on the ground here. So I think marching east to taking Abidjan with the next supply hub is probably a good idea. And we have okay, we have some troops available here to launch an assault and attempt to take Abidjan, while at the same time launching attacks northwards as well. Are there any more supply lines? No, it's just jungle. But we can launch some attacks. We can launch some attacks northward just to keep the Entente busy. And then we'll eventually link up with Middle Africa. We are currently controlling territory around Nigeria. Can we do anything about that? Not just yet, but we might be able to transfer the territory to Middle Africa once the last pockets of resistance have been sorted out. All right. Somebody mentioned in the comments and that this is paused. Yes, it is. I don't know why this is paused. Shouldn't have been paused. But honestly, I think Russia is probably done. We probably want to actually pause this and begin a decryption of the Japanese cipher for now, because that is also going to be coming in handy once we are dealing with them. All right, Philippine theater. We have troops very much out of supply marching northwards. We are holding the Cebu supply base, but the next supply hub is in the north here before we can start attacking Manila. So let's see if we can make it there. If we can make it there without the actual running supply right now. The troops are in relatively decent shape mostly, but some of the divisions are relatively exhausted and disorganized in the Philippine jungles. So Canada is now frantically calling their allies in to see to assist against the Americans. Have we received the troops yet in India that von Paulus was waiting for? No, they are still shipping in, but they should be arriving. They should be arriving relatively soon, and then we will launch assaults there. Spain needs to finish up, and the Spanish government has retreated. No, Spain has actually already capitulated. Sorry. Which means that Modal's troops are actually now free. So I think these will be very well suited to join Paulus in the Asian theater. So I'm going to transfer the Third Army into the Asian theater, and then we will get Modal. Yes, Modal is under von Blomberg's group, which means that his divisions, which are no longer needed against Portugal, can actually be employed on the Indian front. So we'll give him a front line to start attacking further into India, and we are going to probably add some Marines if I have some sitting around in Hamburg who have nothing better to do, which we indeed do. We have some Marine Sturmpanzer Division and 2 regular Marine divisions. Do we have enough to turn these into armored? Yes, we do actually. So turn another one around. So these divisions can actually join. They can actually join Modal, to be honest. So we'll temporarily divert these to Modal's Third Army, and that means he has some Marines available for river crossings. So these troops can be shipped over as well. Okay, that's Modal. We're starting to refocus more on the Asian theater, and we do have the Marine Commando Pacific obviously operating rapidly here. We do have some troops in Davao, which are currently not needed for anything else. So we might just plan a naval invasion, and honestly, that one division here can join. So if we get these 4 Marine divisions to plan a naval invasion from Davao, and we'll see if we can directly, well, we'll have some islands potentially to clear out, but I think if we can directly assault Manila from the sea, we'll see who gets there first. So that operation, and you can stay and join that operation. So we've got four divisions on the attack on Manila. Okay, that is Unternehmen Seeadler, the Sea Eagle offensive operation. And we do have some naval assets in the area, I believe. Yes, we have the, actually no, in the Pacific Theater. We have one of the battle groups, not you. We've got the other one, I thought, okay, no, we have them back on Strike Force. So that's all good, yeah. We don't need to... we do need to have a support for the landing operation. So it looks like the first Schlachtgeschwader is almost complete with repairs, so they can start joining. I do have a lot of submarines available. I am not entirely sure why they are in reserves in the Pacific now, but we have a fair amount of ships here, so I'll start organizing these into more useful shipping for the Pacific Theater. Okay, I think they just get designated for Pacific operations, so they're still stationed in Germany, obviously, because that's where they've been produced. We've got the second Unterseebootflotte, which is going to be starting Pacific operations, which means we are going to need somebody who is capable on submarines. And I think Admiral Valentine looks very much the man for the job. Let's get him. We actually have a fair few capable submarine commanders, but he, I think, is by far the best. So let's get him assigned. And this group is going to be operating in the Pacific. And we are going to send them. Actually, we currently have two groups. We'll have to designate these as Unterseebootflottille, and the same with this one. And that means they will automatically be refitted to full size, but they can start operating around Japan, honestly, and see if we can manage to get them to I think some Japanese trade, and then we'll see how well the Japanese are actually defended in the area. Okay, the rest of the ships has been designated for the other battle groups. So we are, I think, relatively safe to doing that, and that means we can continue operations in the Pacific. In Portugal, and I am going to have to change the shortcuts here very quickly. The First Army is moving into positions. All these are still missing some equipment. So we'll wait until all these troops are in place before we and are refitted once before we start operations. Inside Portugal, we have enough equipment by far. And I think we probably have enough. Mechanized equipment. Where is my mechanized equipment? There it is, 500 for another division. We'll get there, but probably enough equipment for another division to change around into mechanized templates. All right, let's not neglect Russia. Von Kluge. Von Kluge has taken Vologda, and there's not really a good goal for von Kluge aside from taking more territory. So we can further destroy Russian troops on the ground, unless the Russians are reasonably close to actually capitulating. Let's see what the situation is. They are 87%, so they're still holding strong, which means we still have further advances to do. And we have von Mackensen about to take Petrozavodsk, so let's help him out in that regard, and just make sure that we are enclosing that from two directions, and we are pushing enemy. No, these divisions, please go east. And then approach Petrozavodsk from the south, and these divisions please move ahead and clear out the river line, and then we will have the troops cut off here from their supply. I think Petrozavodsk is the next supply hub, and the Swedes are pushing in from the north, and the Ottomans have actually landed. So all in all, what do we give von Kluge to do? Given that there's nothing really else, we will literally just encircle and destroy a few Russian divisions, and just clean up the area. And the more important part is probably going to be Guderian, and Guderian's panzer divisions are pushing towards Nizhny Novgorod. But other important points that we need to take. We're still waiting for Kazan to be connected. We'd really have to start pushing into the east. So I think we'll just have to keep taking Russian territory until Russia eventually capitulates. There are some opportunities potentially in the south. Here we might be able to cut off some Russian divisions in the south. And we have troops, I believe, stationed in Iran, but they are very much having supply issues. However, the Russian defenders are basically non-existent at this point. So we are literally just going to give the 11th Army under Hase, their marching orders, and yeah, for the whole army, please, and let them move north. That should take some territory. And then where else are we engaged? The Ukrainians are launching attacks against remaining Russian resistance, but it's not going to be enough. And Canada keeps calling other countries into the war house. The war looking for Canada at this point. Not much seeming to happen there. I think we really need to start deploying some forces. Yeah, Kurt Weiss has returned to Germany, has recovered a bit from that shock, has gotten a new identity, and is going to be sent to New York City alongside of Olanrevayu Laval, who is going to build an intelligence network further south in Atlanta. And we'll see what they can find out. But Canada now being occupied with the USAS is good news. Troops here, First Army still moving into positions. Equipment is flowing in. So I don't think there is anything really in Portugal. So we'll just give them some time to plan out the advances. And in Africa, we are pushing our way through Sierra Leone. We do have some troops in the north here which can join the fray and try to reduce the amount. We have an enemy. Oh, we are spotting the Japanese force. So the Japanese main force looks like it is coming out, which is great news for us. So definitely we are going to need to have the first Schlachtgeschwader. It's still repairing, but we'll have them back on strike force. The land operations in the Philippines have kind of ground to a halt here. Strong Philippine defenses mean that we are no longer effectively breaking through here. And I think at this point, pushing through the jungle without supply is going to be tough. Let's see. We'll give the troops a forward. We'll let them recover what they can, and then offensive orders would be to take the central supply hubs. But it might be that, and we'll get all divisions on that order. It might be that we will need the naval invasion of Manila instead of trying to push through the island possessions here. But very, very encouraging, and we'll keep a close eye on that. Are the reports from the second Aufklärungsgruppe that they might be spotting a massive Japanese force out here. 11 to 13 capital ships. So that is a significant strike force, and we will see how well the German Schlachtgeschwader are going to be handling themselves here. We're still waiting for some reinforcements, but they are ready to strike once we have actually sufficiently spotted the enemy. Second Aufklärungsgruppe is chasing them, and we are still waiting for a few repairs on the SMS Donau, and then the first Schlachtgeschwader, which is currently stationed in Singapore, is going to be ready as well. Unfortunately, the Elsass is in the first, so the third is going to have to take this one here. And there they are. There's the Japanese fleet, and is the third Schlachtgeschwader going to engage? That is the big question. There's the Japanese fleet spotted. There they are, the Japanese main battle fleet. So let's see if we can get them. Yeah, moving to engage. Third Schlachtgeschwader is leaving their port and is chasing the Japanese fleet. They are numerically somewhat superior, but we will see if we can manage to catch them. Unfortunately, it looks like they have made it out into the Bismarck Sea at flank speed, and the second Aufklärungsgruppe has lost contact, which means that the third Schlachtgeschwader is returning to port. But now that we know where the Japanese are, we can probably relocate to the Palau naval base and get closer to the enemy ships. There they are, and they might be. They are okay. We've got some clear pictures now. We're talking about 4 battleships, 8 heavy cruisers, 17 light cruisers, and 31 destroyers. I think the 3rd Schlachtgeschwader can take them, so we might have to change the rules of engagement for them once they are in port to high risk, and see that they can take them on, or we are going to wait for the 1st to be complete with their repairs and get them into the theater as well. We'll see. But it's good to know that we know where the Japanese are and that they are a definite threat. So positioning in Palau is a good beginning. We do have, in fact, a naval base in Palau, so an air base in Palau. So we can probably create a couple of Condor wings here, have them shipped over. I have a few Condors in storage, so that's not a problem. And we can also get some land-based aircraft to assist with the naval battle as well. We should have some torpedo planes. Yes, we have a fair few torpedo planes. So we get 1 strike wing of torpedo bombers to assist with the area here. And once they're deployed, then they can also assist with both striking the enemy and locating the enemy. Right now it looks like the ships are in port, and we are waiting for the 3rd Schlachtgeschwader to reach their port in Palau, and we can change the engagement to high risk. Yes, let's see if 3rd Schlachtgeschwader is ready to engage. Once they're leaving the port, then they will be intercepted, and we can start still deploying. We can start launching some air raids as well into the region. We have a naval battle in the Atlantic, nothing major. So the rest is just convoy raids. The First Army troops are mostly in position. I think Portugal has pretty much no troops, so I think we are safe here to launch the operation and take out Portugal. We'll see what we do with Spain. Right now the French and us are sharing the occupation here. But what's Africa looking like? Okay, assault into Abidjan has not been successful just yet, and we are struggling to make our way through. It looks like the enemy air force is up in the area. We do have an airport here, so let's stop the operations for now. We have an Ivory Coast airbase under our control, so we can bring some aircraft over from the Spanish theater, which are currently not needed anywhere. So let's see. We do have some tactical bomber wings. How big is the airbase here? Yeah, we can bring them over. So probably 2 heavy fighter wings as well, and that should assist with operations over the Nigerian basin, and then we get the tactical bombers as well over the area, and with air superiority we should be able to push through there without too much trouble. In Russia, we're making headways across the Russian south, where the troops are. There's only a token amount of troops stationed. We have managed to encircle one of the depleted T-34 divisions, and we are going to use the infantry around here to clear these divisions out. Another couple of Russian divisions destroyed. And we have tank divisions breaking through Russian positions without trouble, which means we have more encircled Russian divisions on the main front, which we can now go through and get to capitulate. And the armored divisions here can help with that as well. Meanwhile, von Kluge is making some headway, and is just pushing the Russians before him at this point. We have some more tank divisions, I think. Yeah, we've still got one tank division in Kazan, but other than that, and a couple of tank divisions here, so we could push towards the supply hub at Samara. That's probably a good target for Guderian's tank divisions. All right, let's. Where's the railway going? Here. Okay, so Guderian needs to. Guderian actually needs to push along the railway. So let's get the divisions deployed there. Three armored divisions move south, and then along the railway all the way towards Samara. We'll push towards the river line first. Focusing the infantry on cleanup operations and the armor on the heavy lifting, because it is winter and nobody really wants to do much in winter. We are still pushing back enemy T-34 divisions, but they're weakened. Their forces are depleted at this point, and we have some troops here ready to close another gap in the north. While we are already pushing across the river here in the south, which I think is relatively unnecessary, so we might have to stop von Mackensen's aggressive moves here relatively soon, and we'll get the troops into position to push north, clean up the encirclement here, and then that will be that. The Ottomans are not really breaking out in the north. Von Kluge is still moving. Guderian has at this point, I think, some cleanup to do before we make any further moves. But then we can send Guderian towards Nizhny Novgorod as well. We've got actually 2 tank divisions here. So maybe we'll leave this to the infantry, and we'll cut off yet another cauldron here, and destroy some more Russian forces. The advance from Iran is ongoing, and in Africa, do we have the Air Force in place at this point? Yes, we do. So we have aerial superiority over Nigeria without trouble, which means we can launch. Once the troops have recovered, we can launch additional aggressive offensive operations, and try to take Abidjan, where the majority of the defenders is stationed at this point. Which gets us back to the Pacific, and to see if there is any development in the Bismarck Sea. It looks like the Japanese are stationary, but both Schlachtgeschwaders are ready to engage. The third, where's the first currently? First is stationed in Singapore, which, given that we now know where the Japanese are, is probably too far west. Let's position them. Do we have a Philippine port? We can position them in Cebu, and see that we can cut off any Japanese retreat in case they are sailing further north. In the Philippines, we do have. Are we still recovering? Yeah, the problem is organization here, but let's see if we can manage to push the Philippine troops before us. I think not without air support. Yeah, the light tanks really are struggling in the complete unsupported jungle. The infantry is actually doing better here. So in the jungle, the light tanks are not the best forces to operate. We have spotted. And I'm going to get both Schlachtgeschwader to operate at higher risks once they are in place, and we'll just keep a close eye and see if there's any kind of operation happening. Mountaineers in India have not yet arrived. Oh, but they are on the way. Okay, so the 8th Army under Fuchs is sending troops north to start, and we're not going to be able to take Assam easily, but we might be able to push northeast and cut off this Indian force here. Also, with the reinforcements coming in, that should not be a huge problem. The Dutch are still dealing with a Portuguese naval invasion, but we'll leave the Dutch to it. And German East Asia is clearing out things. We have free dockyards that we can use. So let's have a quick look and see what we are still short of. I think we can set a, how many lines of frigates are we currently building? One line. We can probably start a second line of frigates. We've just got one anyway. So let's get a second line of the Thunder class frigate going. Gives them something to do, and these can be used. I'll just have to check that. Okay, they're ending up in the wrong theater, so I'm gonna have to see that they actually end up in the Atlantic theater. Yeah, they were set on automatic, and that's why they were not in the right theater. They're going to be sent to the Atlantic theater, and we have, I think, one here that can just join one of the groups, simply because the Geleitgruppe is organized through the Atlantic theater. And even though it's operating worldwide, so that is how it is. Portugal is about to fall, and in Russia, we are von Klug is still advancing. We've got some cleanup still to do here, and Guderian is advancing as well. We're about to take the town of Nizhny Novgorod. We already control the supply hub, so it's just a matter of breaking through here. Russian counterattacks, but I think mostly futile. Do we have enough supply in the area to get... oh no, actually that is the supply hub. I was under the impression that we held that, but it didn't seem to be the case. Free military factories. I think we can... what do we need more of? We can put it, how many do we have? One. We can put it on the Condors for now and produce a few more of these, given that I think we should now actually have some available in the Pacific. Let's have a quick look in the Bismarck Sea. Yeah, so we've got 2 naval patrol wings. So let's cover, let's do naval patrols in the Philippine Sea and in the Bismarck Sea, just to support the groups. And we've got a torpedo bomber Gruppe, which can start fleet exercises. We can also begin improving the airbase that we have here, and we'll just in Palau we'll prioritize that, because that'll allow us to deploy more air force in the area and get a clearer picture. Okay, we are breaking through the Filipino troops here. Let's see if we can manage to push all the way north. How far along is the invasion for Manila? These troops under Halder still need 10 more days to plan this, and we've got, I think we should have most of the islands under control here. So we've got another division coming in to support these operations. Jungle fighting is grueling, but we might be able to improve the special forces. So the Marines, actually no, we need more naval experience for that. But we have enough to improve the Mountaineers as well. However, I'm thinking at this point, just going for a general land doctrine is probably the better choice here. So we'll wait for 85 army experience, and then we're going down the land doctrine tree. And we're lurking, waiting for the Japanese to come out of port. So once the air wing is trained up, we can attempt. It's at the edge of their range, unfortunately, but we might be able to attempt some port raids. Otherwise, we might just launch a carrier raid by hand out of the divisions stationed in the Bismarck Sea. Okay, we've got the first Schlachtgeschwader ready and operational, and I should be able to. Yeah, there we go. Change engagement to high risk. I'm happy to take the risk because we do need to defeat that Japanese fleet. Otherwise, there's not an awful lot we can do in terms of naval invasions in the north, because it'll be too risky. All right, how is the war against Canada going? It looks like the USAS isn't making an awful lot of progress. To be fair, along the lines, I would have assumed more aggressive moves from them, but maybe the Canadian border is holding better than we think. So we don't know enough about them just yet. We are building up the intelligence networks, and we will see how that engagement is going to play out. Meanwhile, in Africa, where we should be ready, we are ready for another attempt. I think we might need some reinforcements. Let's see if we can push some troops here, and just with some fire support from the south, and then from there we might be able to run into the northern approaches of Abidjan and assault it from 2 directions, because they currently have 5 divisions stationed there, which is a fair bit. So let's see if we can manage to encircle these. More military factories becoming available from occupied territories. I don't really need to. I think artillery is something we run a bit short on. So let's just make that 20. I don't want to allocate too much, because we are eventually going to liberate these territories, and then these become not used anymore. So Portugal is about to fall, I think. Yeah, Portugal is about to fall, and we will have to see what we do about Iberia. I don't think there's any decision at this point available. So probably for now. We do have one. Upper Volta. Okay, let's clean up. Let's clear out enemy troops concentrations in Africa first before we make any further movements. A lot of troops now moving through the very harsh terrain in Africa supply-wise, and I think we are making moves in the north here. Yeah, we are making moves in the north, and we will see. That is a lot of international troops. Everyone's fighting over Africa at this point, but I think we're squeezing out the remains of the Entente here relatively easily. The Turks want to send us what looks like French 105mm cannons. Okay, we'll take them. And we do have enough for, I think, we do have enough for armored operations, which is going to give extra organization to our tank divisions, which is good to have. So let's take it. How is the Russian operation coming along? We are about to close the encirclement here in Russia, and still Russia has not capitulated. Where is the southern group moving? Okay, so these tanks are moving, and we'll see if we can push all the way to Samara. I think the Russian lines are so thin at this point that there's really not much, and if everybody has their field hospitals received, we might launch another operation. We are in March now, so hopefully soon the ice is thawing sufficiently that we can run additional operations and not just rely on the armored forces to make everything happen here. And we have mostly cleared out. Vermackensen has cleared out the enemy troops in the north here, and I think with the supply base in Petrozavodsk, he might be able to close up the northern sector. So let's change his main front line. Petrozavodsk is connected. Let's change its main front line a little to expand to the northern sector, and we can probably just get a couple of troops by hand to maybe these two to move north and to connect the railways north and encircle the remaining Russian troops here. So let's get them to move, and we are about to, infantry can support from the other side. We are about to close another encirclement against the Russians, and Guderian here as well is about to close. So I think Russia hopefully should be done for soon. End of March, I think, is the time when we can launch a general offensive. How's the Iranian offensive going? Troops are slowly moving into Russian territory and expanding. The biggest problem is that there's absolutely no supply in the area. So there's an important supply hub that needs to be taken. If we can manage this, let's see if we can push the Russians out from here and gain some local supply. In the Bismarck Sea, the Japanese are still not making any movements. So once the torpedo bomber group is somewhat more experienced, then we can start launching raids. In the meantime, what we might try, given that the Japanese are not coming out, is we'll take them off strike force. We'll send the third Schlachtgeschwader into close proximity, and then we will launch a carrier raid onto the Caroline Island base and the Japanese main fleet. So let's get the Schlachtgeschwader into position. And we can honestly use both of them probably. So let's get a double air raid underway against the Japanese airbase in the Caroline Islands. We do have a military industrial organization to deal with Dornier. Is there anything we can actually still do in Dornier? I think it's only for multi-role transport planes, which really doesn't matter to us, but we'll take it. So that's done, and we get more artillery from the Chinese, and the Marines are slowly fighting their way through the Philippine troops, but it is a very grueling fight here in the jungle, and the Marine Sturmdivision are running very low on organization and equipment. And food and ammunition. So we've got both groups almost in place. So the whole Hochseeflotte is now converging onto the Japanese base in the Caroline Islands. Reports from Lisbon confirm that the Portuguese city has been captured by advancing German troops after skirmishes through the Serra de Monsanto and rapid push towards the mouth of the Tagus River. Portuguese forces put up stiff resistance, hoping to delay the German forces for as long as possible, but were eventually beaten back. The fight for Lisbon was complicated as the Portuguese defenders intentionally destroyed Lisbon's bridges, forcing attackers to ford across the large river to fully capture the city. A ceremony was held in the Praça do Comércio, I hope I pronounced that correctly, sorry, where German forces called for the surrender of all remaining Portuguese soldiers in the hillsides. And yes, I think with that Portugal is going to fall, and that is Western Europe completely under our control. Another encircled Russian group, and the Russian losses are monstrous at this point. So let's just use everything to clear this out. And there's a single encircled division here, which can be cleared out using infantry. And then I think it is time. To launch general marching orders once more against the Russians on all fronts and get them to capitulate. But first, we will execute an air raid. We will execute an air raid onto the Caroline Islands. We do have the Torpedo Bomber Gruppe 15. Which had some training, which is probably not sufficient, but we are going to get them on port strike over the Bismarck Sea, and then we are going to launch port strike operations with all available carrier wings directly from the air groups, and we will see if that gets results and gets the Japanese to move out of their the security of their port. Portugal has capitulated. Portuguese equipment has been seized, and with that, Western Europe is completely secured. And we're probably going to give the First Army we're going to leave the First Army in the area for now. We're just going to position them along the all through the whole First Army, please, all through the country. But that is they deserve some rest from after the heavy fighting, and we can now continue with the, well, first with the naval operations in the Bismarck Sea. So actually with the air operations in the Bismarck Sea. Let's see if we get, let's see if that port strike against, if we can manage to get a port strike happening. We did. So how is it looking? We've done some minor damage to the enemy ships. There is, but we have identified the fleet that is in port. We've got the Amagi, we've got Mutsukaga and Owari, and that is the battleship group. They have 8 heavy cruisers in the area, as well as 31 destroyers and 17 light cruisers. So heavy light forces, which means we probably need to improve. I've got a couple of destroyers available. We can distribute them among the Schlachtgeschwader. It's going to take them a while to get here, but we'll send them over to reinforce the light forces. But let's see if we manage. So that was the land-based port strike coming from the torpedo bomber Gruppe, and these were only the torpedo bombers can actually do the port strikes here. So let's see. We might move the third even closer to the islands to give the bombers a better approach, and then we do have the torpedo bomber wings launching hopefully and conducting their own port strikes. And we will see if it will evict the Japanese from the Carolines or if the damage is more minor, and how much we're going to achieve here. So this was the carrier strike, strike from the carrier wings. Can I get this to overlay? No. Strike from the carrier wings has done some minor damage to Amagi as well as to the other battleships. We haven't lost any planes ourselves, but overall this has been a successful raid. And we are going to get the ships positioned back into their ports. We'll send the first Schlachtgeschwader to Davao on strike force, so send them over to Davao, and we have the third on strike force, and we'll send them back to Palau. And then we will see if the Japanese, after these initial airstrikes, will actually leave their ports, and we'll keep a very close eye on potential Japanese operations. Otherwise, we will assemble more air assets and see what we can achieve. We have two submarine groups operating in the area. They might not have sufficient ships, but we'll get additional submarines available. We have a Type 10 submarine. Okay, no, the eighth is in an engagement. And they have, the Japanese are having screening groups out. So we have to concentrate the fleet in the south to deal with that. We're chasing the convoys, and there is potentially more shipping incoming. Okay, another port strike from the land-based carrier craft, and it is doing damage to the enemy ships, but. They're refusing to sally out to get out of port, and yeah, the Philippine operation here is not successful in destroying these positions in the jungle. I am going to return. I'm going to leave one division to hold the line here, and I'm going to return the rest to. I'm going to return the rest to Davao, and they can reinforce the naval invasion, because breaking through the jungle against the experienced Filipino defenders here is without supply. It's just not happening. And I don't think we have an airbase in the area actually. So we do have one in. No, that's the carrier. So we might be able to build an airbase. There are no air bases. So we'll build up an airbase in Cebu, and that will allow us to run air support along the lines here. So for now, we're retreating the troops. Maybe we'll just retreat them here for now. no, I do want them to resupply. So I would probably have to retreat towards. We'll retreat towards Davao. So let's give them a fallback line here for now. Retreat towards Davao, and we'll wait for air support to come in. And we do have some tank technology to research. Is there still anything here? Construction, actually, we're a bit behind, honestly. And fuel refining would not be bad either, but it's all not particularly necessary. Maybe we'll just focus on some naval research, which we haven't done in a while. Who still needs boosting? Goldman-Foss. And then we will see. Oh, the Japanese fleet is out of port. Yes. Okay. Third Schlachtgeschwader is intercepting. The Japanese fleet has sailed out of port, and with that, yes, they are moving north. So we will see if the third can catch them. Where's the first? First should be sailing north as well, but it looks like they might have slipped away. And we will see if they have managed to slip away, unfortunately, towards the north, and we don't have a northern position from which to intercept them. So unfortunately, it looks like they have gotten away unless we can catch up with them. We do keep an eye on them from the air. So we've got the Condors monitoring them, and we've got the Third Schlachtgeschwader on intercept here. And chasing this Japanese task force, which is not the full task force. This has split off. So this is a split off task force from the Japanese fleet. And I think just as we've done atomic research, we are joining naval battle. So the first major fleet, or I think second, but the first one we actually take a look at. It looks like the port strikes have been successful in driving parts of the Japanese fleet out north, and we have the Hochseeflotte an der Rede engaging Yamaguchi Tamon's Imperial Japanese Navy. We are facing, what are we facing here? One battle cruiser, 3 battleships, 2. I'm going to slow that right down, otherwise I'm not catching up with the commentary. 6 heavy cruisers and their escorts. So we'll see how that ends up working. Let me just, why is that over there? Okay, that's a bit weird, but we'll take it. So I'm gonna have to look left. Right now, the fleets are moving for position, and we will see where the first hits are going to be landing. Obviously, the carriers are launching their air wings from the rear, and some of the cruisers have been damaged in port from the earlier airstrikes. And now Amagi is joining forces and they're actually disengaging the heavies. So we'll see if we can manage to land some hits before everything else. The first cruisers are taking fire from the friendly screening forces. The first destroyer, the Usugumo, has been sunk. But so far, the heavy ships, Okaga has taken a couple of hits from the heavy guns, and the Owari is under massive fire. So that seems where we're concentrating right now. We have sunk the armored cruiser Kako, and the Oi, but Owari is heavily listing after taking massive bombardment both from the air and from heavy guns. So. She might be the first capital ship to go down. No, Kaga is the first down, and then Owari. Moltke has sunk the Kaga. Owari has gone down to Gneisenau, and Amagi has been sunk by Gneisenau as well, which just leaves the Mutsu, which is trying to escape. With their screening forces being absolutely decimated by German light forces, we've lost the first destroyer. Has been sunk by gunfire from an enemy destroyer, but they have a lot of cruisers in here. And I think the heavy ships have, some of the heavy fleet has gotten away. The Mutsu with considerable damage, but now it's the question of how much of the screening force can still make their way out. They have lost 5 light cruisers, make that 6. And they still have a few destroyers here, but the screens obviously are trying to cover the retreat of the heavy forces, and are paying dearly for it, as the German light cruisers are very well equipped to deal with these, and the airstrikes are also making an impact here. The last destroyer is disengaging into the distance, and Isokase has managed to disengage, and with that, for the cost of 2 aircraft and the SMS T-240, the first battle of the Philippine Sea has seen a decisive victory of the Hochseeflotte over their Japanese counterparts, with 2 battleships sunk, a battle cruiser sunk, 3 heavy cruisers, 10 light cruisers, and 20 destroyers absolutely obliterated by German naval forces. That means the first. It was the third. The third Schlachtgeschwader is now in need of repairs. So we are going to send them. We are going to send them back for repairs, and the first Schlachtgeschwader is going to keep an eye on things in the meantime. There is obviously still a task force operational, but the aerial attacks on the base in the Caroline Islands is driving them out. They have actually lost 2 destroyers to the Focke-Wulfs, and with that, I think the Japanese foray into trying to project their sea power into the Bismarck Sea is broken, and we will see if we can. We will see if we can chase them further north. Once the Philippines are secured, we can begin chasing them into the East China Sea and the coast of Japan. But that was a major blow for the Imperial Japanese Navy, and we will see what they still have remaining. 1 battle cruiser, a few battleships. We haven't seen any of the Japanese carrier force yet, so I'm not sure where they are deployed. But that victory has severely broken their back. Meanwhile, in Germany, the Uranverein is making progress. Atomic research is complete. Splitting the atom yields enormous amounts of energy and limitless destructive capability, indeed. So we will continue with the research for a nuclear reactor. And we will start developing these frightening future weapons here. I think we have enough for a marine to upgrade the Marines further. We can, which one are we going down? Let's have a quick look. We can go down the left branch, which gives us acclimatization gains. So for difficult territory, a breakthrough, and more soft attack and breakthrough, which I'm a fan of. Or we can go for invasion planning speed, organization, attack and shore bombardment, and defense. I think they're both good. I especially like the soft attack on the soft attack and breakthrough on the Amtraks. So I think I'm going to go down the left branch here. So let's unlock that, and then we have a few more naval battles. And that was just one of the battle groups sinking an Indian submarine, which is mildly overkill. Other than that, our radar groups are still destroying Indian convoys, and we are still very much successful in the Atlantic. We did have some engagements in the Mediterranean. That would have been Spanish submarines, yes. It looks like the Spanish have retreated to the Balearic Islands. So we might actually have to invade that area, which, given that the Marines are currently occupied elsewhere, is going to happen at a later stage. But for now, after that successful engagement, the successful naval engagement, and our scouting groups are actually chasing away now Japanese heavy cruisers. So the two light cruisers, while having taken some damage, the Bremen and the Berlin have done a fair amount, have almost sunk the Rokaku. So this is actually interesting. Let's see if if they can manage to land a few more hits. And this ship's heavily listing, but she is getting away. Let's see if they can land a few more hits, or if she manages. Nope, she managed to get away. Okay, so after that successful naval engagement, we are waiting for the Marino Commando Pacific to be ready for their naval invasion, which I think they are. So we can redirect the first Schlachtgeschwader to. I think we've got this under control. We've pushed the Japanese away. There's not a great risk of. There's not a great risk of any further trouble, but we are going to give them naval invasion support orders, and we'll send them to Davao so they can escort the Marine Sturmdivision north. And once they arrive, and we are in April now, so it is time to launch the general offensive orders along the Russian front. The support. The support for the overall war at home is not particularly high anymore. So let's plan that out. We've got the 9th Army under von Manstein, obviously, and we will give them offensive orders basically along the line here. But I would love to have all of von Manstein's troops on that order. So the Transvolga offensive, and then we've got the 4th under von Leeb, which is going to launch a general offensive along the north. This is all not particularly great territory, so let's plan that out. And while that is being planned out, von Mackensen is still fighting to connect in the north and reduce the Russian encirclement there. However, how far are the Russians from 93%? Yeah, it's not much anymore. They are relatively close to capitulation, and we have taken the supply hub at Samara. So from here on, we can probably launch further operations south. And see if we can encircle a couple more Russian divisions, and take the other riverbank of Pokrovsk. But once the planning is done, we will. We can enact a staff office plan probably for von Manstein in the south. So let's get that going. And we can do that also in the north, not for Moltke, but for Leeb, staff office plan. All right, let's get the planning accelerated and then launch a general offensive against Russia. We are going to need a naval invasion into the remains of the Kingdom of Spain, who have retreated to Mallorca, and we are. Where are my troops actually? We should be. Oh, we have taken. Oh, we have liberated the Gold Coast already. We might have. Yes, we actually have. So the Gold Coast, with German air support, the massive amount of international troops of the coalition has moved to liberate the Gold Coast, and that means that friendly German troops can move up and clear out the last pockets of enemy resistance. But I think the Entente in Africa is pretty much finished. The African states have been mostly liberated, and how is the stability in Middle Africa? Terrible. So Middle Africa is not particularly stable, so I don't think we can necessarily give them more territory to control. Ethiopia is still grinding the war against Somalia. The Russians are still resisting, as they are wont to do, but Japan has been decisively beaten at sea, and I think once we take Manila, then the Philippines should be falling next. So let's have a quick look. I think once we take Luzon, then the Philippines will fall as well, so we don't have to fight our way through the jungle here. But we can now, and that's I think the last thing we're going to be doing, launch a combined offensive with friendly mountain troops and into the northern Indian area, and see if we can manage to break through here. Mountain specialists are pushing in, and with support from the Air Force, they should be able to dig out the Indian defenders. They are sending reinforcements, so we are going to immediately push in the south with the regular heavy infantry and see if we can make sure that they stay there. German bombers in the air. We're going to bypass the Assam front line because crossing the river line here has proven to be prohibitively expensive, and with the available supply, we should be able to make our way all the way towards the Guangzhou border, which would then lead to the total encirclement of the Eastern Indian Army. The Reichslandlösung is completed, so that means von Schleicher is in complete control of the German nation, for better or worse. And now, given the continuous decrease, almost 40% of the German population are actually not in support of conducting the war any further, which means we also, while we are focusing on wrapping up the fighting on the ground, we also have to do some political maneuvering to set ourselves up for a post-war scenario. So what comes after the war? And I think the first thing we can do is infrastructure development is not necessarily something we need, but we can do some economic measures to support the opinion at home, and we'll begin with the imperial light industry. So let's rejuvenate some of the industry at home, and I think at some point we can start demobilizing some of the troops that are no longer necessary for the further conduct of the war. I think once Russia has fallen, then that'll be an opportunity to start demobilizing the first amount of troops. How's the war between Canada and the USAS going? Not an awful lot going on there, honestly, by the looks of it. So it looks like the border war is relatively static, and most of the fight we will liberate. We might liberate Cuba at some point, but in the end, we could also focus more on South America. We will see. We'll see what, but we'll also need to wrap up the war at some point, because the population will not support this forever. So mountaineers have broken through in the north. Nigeria has capitulated, and with that, there's still some Entente troops in the area, but I think overall we are pretty much done here. Let's have a quick look. No, actually, there is still some Entente territory here, so let's ensure that we are taking that. But let's focus on India for right now. And Kurt Hase has fallen ill. That is very unfortunate. But we are keeping an eye on any further naval battles in the East China Sea. This is enemy forces hunting our submarines. We'll deal with those. We'll deal with those soon enough. But are there still any Japanese forces in the Caroline Islands? It doesn't look like. I think they have mostly escaped whatever was left, or been sunk by air attacks. So let's see if we can close the Indian cauldron here. But yeah, even the heavy infantry in the south is managing to push the Indian forces out of their mountain positions. The aerial superiority of the Luftwaffe is too great, and once we are going to see. Okay, the Russians have decrypted our ciphers. They are quite capable in that regard, but once we are. I think I'll divert one division. I send one division north, the 4th Mountaineers, for an attack to pin the enemy in place on the northern part in Assam. while we've got 3 divisions defending and the rest of them moving in towards the border region. So once that, and I think that should be sufficient. So the mountain troops should get there first, I would assume, and then we do have to make sure that they are not coming in from, not reinforcing from the south. So let's press the attack in the south. Heavy infantry is following it up, and I think with that we almost have the we almost have the initial goal of encircling the Eastern Indian Army, which is going to be a major achievement, because that's a lot of troops. We're talking about almost 3 field armies here. So that's almost an army group that'll be completely encircled here. And with the arrival of the special forces under General Fuchs, they are who has proven himself, they are not in any position to resist. And with that, we have cut them off completely from supply. That is 25, 40, 66 enemy divisions, if I didn't miscount. So that will be the task for the next episode, to clear out the encircled Indian divisions in the east. The arrival of the mountain special forces has broken the stalemate. We will launch the invasion of Manila, Unternehmen Seeadler, and we will then continue to run naval operations against the Japanese. We've got some island positions to clear out, and then work our way towards the home islands. And the legation cities haven't been forgotten as well. Africa is about to fall here. Most of the troops are moving in to clear out the last Entente positions, and then we also have some decisions to do to ensure the fate of these African states. And obviously we'll have to see what we're going to do about Spain eventually. And right now we're sharing the occupation with the French and redrawing the map of Western Europe quite successfully. And yes, Russia is still resisting, but spring offensive is going to clear out the last Russian defenses in the east, and then that'll be that. All of that coming in the next episode. Thanks everybody. I'll see you then.